chapters 26 through 30 of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 26 through 30 of the book of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation. Chapter 26. And thou dost make the tabernacle, 10 curtains of twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. With cherubs, work of a designer, thou dost make them. The length of the one curtain is 28 by the cubit, and the breadth of the one curtain 4 by the cubit. One measure is to all the curtains. 5 of the curtains are joining one unto another, and 5 curtains are joining one to another. And thou hast made loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain, at the end in the joining. And so thou makest in the edge of the outermost curtain in the joining of the second. 50 loops thou dost make in the one curtain, and 50 loops thou dost make in the edge of the curtain which is in the joining of the second, causing the loops to take hold one unto another. And thou hast made 50 hooks of gold, and hast joined the curtains one to another by the hooks, and the tabernacle hath been one. And thou hast made curtains of goat's hair, for a tent over the tabernacle. Thou dost make 11 curtains. The length of the one curtain is 30 by the cubit, and the breadth of the one curtain 4 by the cubit. One measure is to the 11 curtains. And thou hast joined the 5 curtains apart, and the 6 curtains apart, and hast doubled the 6 curtains over against the front of the tent. And thou hast made 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain, the outermost in the joining, and 50 loops on the edge of the curtain which is joining the second. And thou hast made 50 hooks of brass, and hast brought in the hooks into the loops, and hast joined the tent, and it hath been one. And the superfluity in the curtains of the tent, the half of the curtain which is superfluous, hath spread over the hinder part of the tabernacle, and the cubit on this side, and the cubit on that, in the superfluity in the length of the curtains of the tent, is spread out over the sides of the tabernacle, on this and on that, to cover it. And thou hast made a covering for the tent of rams' skins made red, and a covering of badgers' skins above. And thou hast made the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. 10 cubits is the length of the board, and a cubit and a half the breadth of the one board. 2 handles are to the one board, joined one unto another, so thou dost make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou hast made the boards of the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward, and 40 sockets of silver thou dost make under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under the one board for its 2 handles, and 2 sockets under the other board for its 2 handles. And for the second side of the tabernacle, for the north side, are 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward thou dost make 6 boards, and 2 boards thou dost make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they are pairs beneath, and together they are pairs above its head unto the one ring. So is it for them both, they are for the 2 corners. And they have been 8 boards, and their sockets of silver are 16 sockets, 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou hast made bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the second side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle at the 2 sides westward. And one hath caused the middle bar in the midst of the boards to reach from end unto end. And the boards thou dost overlay with gold, and their rings thou dost make of gold places for bars, and hast overlaid their bars with gold. And thou hast raised up the tabernacle according to its fashion which thou hast been shewn in the mount. And thou hast made a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, work of a designer, he maketh it with cherubs. And thou hast put it on 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their pegs are of gold on 4 sockets of silver. And thou hast put the veil under the hooks, and hast brought in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil hath made a separation for you between the holy and the holy of holies. And thou hast put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony in the holy of holies. And thou hast set the table at the outside of the vail, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward. And the table thou dost put on the north side. And thou hast made a covering for the opening of the tent, blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen, work of an embroiderer. And thou hast made for the covering 5 pillars of shittim wood, and hast overlaid them with gold. Their pegs are of gold, and thou hast cast for them 5 sockets of brass. Chapter 27. And thou hast made the altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits the length, and 5 cubits the breadth. The altar is square, and 3 cubits its height. And thou hast made its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns are of the same. And thou hast overlaid it with brass. And thou hast made its pots to remove its ashes, and its shovels, and its bowls, and its forks, and its firepans, even all its vessels thou dost make of brass. And thou hast made for it a grate of network of brass, and hast made on the net 4 rings of brass on its 4 extremities, and hast put it under the compass of the altar beneath, and the net hath been unto the middle of the altar. And thou hast made staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and hast overlaid them with brass. And the staves have been brought into the rings, and the staves have been on the 2 sides of the altar in bearing it. Hollow with boards thou dost make it, as it hath been shewed thee in the mount, so do they make it. And thou hast made the court of the tabernacle, for the south side southward, hangings for the court of twined linen, 100 by the cubit is the length for the one side, and its 20 pillars and their 20 sockets are of brass. The pegs of the pillars and their fillets are of silver. And so for the north side in length, hangings of 100 cubits in length, and its 20 pillars and their 20 sockets are of brass. The pegs of the pillars and their fillets are of silver. And for the breadth of the court at the west side are hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And for the breadth of the court at the east side eastward are 50 cubits. And the hangings at the side are 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And at the second side are hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court a covering of 20 cubits, blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen, work of an embroiderer, their pillars 4, their sockets 4. All the pillars of the court round about are filleted with silver, their pegs are silver, and their sockets brass. The length of the court is 100 by the cubit, and the breadth 50 by 50, and the height 5 cubits, of twined linen, and their sockets are brass. Even all the vessels of the tabernacle in all its service, and all its pins, and all the pins of the court, are brass. And thou dost command the sons of Israel, and they bring unto thee pure beaten olive oil for the light, to cause the lamp to go up continually. In the tent of meeting at the outside of the veil which is over the testimony doth Aaron, his sons also, arrange it from evening till morning before Jehovah, a statute age-during to their generations from the sons of Israel. Chapter 28. And thou, bring thou near unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, from the midst of the sons of Israel, for his being priest to me, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, sons of Aaron. And thou hast made holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for honor and for beauty. And thou dost speak unto all the wise of heart, whom I have filled with a spirit of wisdom, and they have made the garments of Aaron to sanctify him for his being priest to me. And these are the garments which they make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and an upper robe, and an embroidered coat, a mitre and a girdle. Yea, they have made holy garments for Aaron thy brother, and for his sons, for his being priest to me. And they take the gold, and the blue, and the purple, and the scarlet, and the linen, and have made the ephod of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen, work of a designer. It hath 2 shoulders joining at its 2 ends, and it is joined. And the girdle of his ephod which is on him, according to its work, is of the same, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen. And thou hast taken the 2 shoham stones, and hast opened on them the names of the sons of Israel. 6 of their names on the one stone, and the names of the remaining 6 on the second stone, according to their births. The work of an engraver in stone, openings of a signet, thou dost open the 2 stones by the names of the sons of Israel. Turned round, embroidered with gold, thou dost make them. And thou hast set the 2 stones on the shoulders of the ephod, stones of memorial to the sons of Israel. And Aaron hath borne their names before Jehovah on his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou hast made embroidered things of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold. Wreathed work thou dost make them, work of thick bands, and thou hast put the thick chains on the embroidered things. And thou hast made a breastplate of judgment, work of a designer. According to the work of the ephod thou dost make it. Of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twine linen thou dost make it. It is square, doubled, a span its length, and a span its breadth. And thou hast set in it settings of stone, 4 rows of stone. A row of sardius, topaz, and carbuncle is the first row. And the second row is emerald, sapphire, and diamond. And the third row is opal, agate, and amethyst. And the 4th row is beryl, and onyx, and jasper. Embroidered with gold are they in their settings. And the stones are according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12, according to their names, openings of a signet. Each by his name are they for the 12 tribes. And thou hast made on the breastplate wreathed chains, work of thick bands, of pure gold. And thou hast made on the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and hast put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou hast put the 2 thick bands of gold on the 2 rings at the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 thick bands thou dost put on the 2 embroidered things, and thou hast put them on the shoulders of the ephod over against its face. And thou hast made 2 rings of gold, and hast set them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on its border, which is over against the ephod within. And thou hast made 2 rings of gold, and hast put them on the 2 shoulders of the ephod beneath, over against its front, over against its joining, above the girdle of the ephod. And they bind the breastplate by its rings unto the rings of the ephod with a ribbon of blue, to be above the girdle of the ephod, and the breastplate is not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron hath borne the names of the sons of Israel in the breastplate of judgment on his heart, in his going in unto the sanctuary, for a memorial before Jehovah continually. And thou hast put unto the breastplate of judgment the lights and the perfections, and they have been on the heart of Aaron in his going in before Jehovah. And Aaron hath borne the judgment of the sons of Israel on his heart before Jehovah continually. And thou hast made the upper robe of the ephod completely of blue, and the opening for its head hath been in its midst. A border is to its opening round about, work of a weaver, as the opening of a habergeon there is to it. It is not rent. And thou hast made on its hem pomegranates of blue, and purple, and scarlet on its hem round about, and bells of gold in their midst round about. A bell of gold and a pomegranate, a bell of gold and a pomegranate, are on the hems of the upper robe round about. And it hath been on Aaron to minister in, and its sound hath been heard in his coming in unto the sanctuary before Jehovah, and in his going out, and he doth not die. And thou hast made a flower of pure gold, and hast opened on it openings of a signet, holy to Jehovah. And thou hast put it on a blue ribbon, and it hath been on the mitre, over against the front of the mitre it is. And it hath been on the forehead of Aaron, and Aaron hath borne the iniquity of the holy things which the sons of Israel do hallow, even all their holy gifts. And it hath been on his forehead continually for a pleasing thing for them before Jehovah. And thou hast embroidered the coat of linen, and hast made a mitre of linen, and a girdle thou dost make, work of an embroiderer. And for the sons of Aaron thou dost make coats, and thou hast made for them girdles, yea, bonnets thou dost make for them, for honor and for beauty. And thou hast clothed Aaron thy brother with them, and his sons with him, and hast anointed them, and hast consecrated their hand, and hast sanctified them. And they have been priests to me. And make thou for them linen trousers to cover the naked flesh. They are from the loins even unto the thighs. And they have been on Aaron and on his sons, in their going in unto the tent of meeting, or in their drawing nigh unto the altar to minister in the sanctuary. And they do not bear iniquity, nor have they died. A statute age during to him, and to his seed after him. Chapter 29. And this is the thing which thou dost to them, to hallow them, for being priests to me. Take 1 bullock, a son of the herd, and 2 rams, perfect ones, and bread unleavened, and cakes unleavened anointed with oil, of fine wheaten flour thou dost make them. And thou hast put them on 1 basket, and hast brought them near in the basket, also the bullock and the 2 rams. And Aaron and his sons thou dost bring near unto the opening of the tent of meeting, and hast bathed them with water. And thou hast taken the garments, and hast clothed Aaron with the coat, and the upper robe of the ephod, and the ephod, and the breastplate, and hast girded him with the girdle of the ephod, and hast set the mitre on his head, and hast put the holy crown on the mitre, and hast taken the anointing oil, and hast poured it on his head, and hast anointed him. And his sons thou dost bring near, and hast clothed them with coats, and hast girded them with a girdle, Aaron and his sons, and hast bound on them bonnets. And the priesthood hath been theirs by a statute age during. And thou hast consecrated the hand of Aaron, and the hand of his sons, and hast brought near the bullock before the tent of meeting. And Aaron hath laid, his sons also, their hands on the head of the bullock. And thou hast slaughtered the bullock before Jehovah at the opening of the tent of meeting, and hast taken of the blood of the bullock, and hast put it on the horns of the altar with thy finger. And all the blood thou dost pour out at the foundation of the altar. And thou hast taken all the fat which is covering the inwards, and the redundance on the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat which is on them, and hast made perfume on the altar. And the flesh of the bullock, and his skin, and his dung thou dost burn with fire at the outside of the camp. It is a sin offering. And the 1 ram thou dost take, and Aaron and his sons have laid their hands on the head of the ram, and thou hast slaughtered the ram, and hast taken its blood, and hast sprinkled it on the altar round about. And the ram thou dost cut into its pieces, and hast washed its inwards, and its legs, and hast put them on its pieces, and on its head. And thou hast made perfume with the whole ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to Jehovah, a sweet fragrance, a fire offering it is to Jehovah. And thou hast taken the 2nd ram, and Aaron hath laid, his sons also, their hands on the head of the ram. And thou hast slaughtered the ram, and hast taken of its blood, and hast put on the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and on the tip of the right ear of his sons, and on the thumb of their right hand, and on the great toe of their right foot, and hast sprinkled the blood on the altar round about. And thou hast taken of the blood which is on the altar, and of the anointing oil, and hast sprinkled on Aaron and on his garments, and on his sons, and on the garments of his sons with him. And he hath been hallowed, he and his garments, and his sons and the garments of his sons with him. And thou hast taken from the ram the fat, and the fat tail, and the fat which is covering the inwards, and the redundance on the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat which is on them, and the right leg, for it is a ram of consecration. And 1 round cake of bread, and 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 thin cake out of the basket of the unleavened things which is before Jehovah. And thou hast set the whole on the hands of Aaron, and on the hands of his sons, and hast waved them, a wave offering before Jehovah. And thou hast taken them out of their hand, and hast made perfume on the altar beside the burnt offering, for sweet fragrance before Jehovah. A fire offering it is to Jehovah. And thou hast taken the breast from the ram of the consecration which is for Aaron, and hast waved it, a wave offering before Jehovah, and it hath become thy portion. And thou hast sanctified the breast of the wave offering, and the leg of the heave offering which hath been waved, and which hath been lifted up from the ram of the consecration, of that which is for Aaron, and of that which is for his sons. And it hath been for Aaron and for his sons by a statute age during from the sons of Israel, for it is a heave offering, and it is a heave offering from the sons of Israel, from the sacrifices of their peace offerings, their heave offering to Jehovah. And the holy garments which are Aaron's are for his sons after him, to be anointed in them, and to consecrate in them their hand. 7 days doth the priest in his stead of his sons put them on, when he goeth in unto the tent of meeting, to minister in the sanctuary. And the ram of the consecration thou dost take, and hast boiled its flesh in the holy place. And Aaron hath eaten, his sons also, the flesh of the ram, and the bread which is in the basket, at the opening of the tent of meeting. And they have eaten those things by which there is atonement, to consecrate their hand, to sanctify them. And a stranger doth not eat, for they are holy. And if there be left of the flesh of the consecration or of the bread till the morning, then thou hast burned that which is left with fire. It is not eaten, for it is holy. And thou hast done thus to Aaron and to his sons, according to all that I have commanded thee. 7 days thou dost consecrate their hand. And a bullock, a sin offering, thou dost prepare daily for the atonements. And thou hast atoned for the altar in thy making atonement on it, and hast anointed it to sanctify it. 7 days thou dost make atonement for the altar, and hast sanctified it, and the altar hath been most holy. All that is coming against the altar is holy. And this is that which thou dost prepare on the altar: 2 lambs, sons of a year, daily continually. The one lamb thou dost prepare in the morning, and the second lamb thou dost prepare between the evenings. And a 10th deal of fine flour mixed with beaten oil, a 4th part of a hin, and a libation, a 4th part of a hin, of wine, is for the one lamb. And the second lamb thou dost prepare between the evenings, according to the present of the morning, and according to its libation thou dost prepare for it, for sweet fragrance, a fire offering to Jehovah. A continual burnt offering for your generations, at the opening of the tent of meeting before Jehovah, whither I am met with you, to speak unto thee there. And I have met there with the sons of Israel, and it hath been sanctified by my honor. And I have sanctified the tent of meeting, and the altar, and Aaron and his sons I sanctify, for being priests to me. And I have tabernacled in the midst of the sons of Israel, and have become their God. And they have known that I am Jehovah their God, who hath brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I may tabernacle in their midst. I am Jehovah their God. Chapter 30. And thou hast made an altar for making perfume. Of shittim wood thou dost make it. A cubit its length, and a cubit its breadth. It is square. And 2 cubits its height. Its horns are of the same. And thou hast overlaid it with pure gold, its top, and its sides round about, and its horns. And thou hast made to it a crown of gold round about. And 2 rings of gold thou dost make to it under its crown. On its 2 ribs thou dost make them, on its 2 sides. And they have become places for staves, to bear it with them. And thou hast made the staves of shittim wood, and hast overlaid them with gold. And thou hast put it before the veil which is by the ark of the testimony, before the mercy seat which is over the testimony, whither I am met with thee. And Aaron hath made perfume on it, perfume of spices, morning by morning. In his making the lamps right he doth perfume it. And in Aaron's causing the lamps to go up between the evenings he doth perfume it, a continual perfume before Jehovah to your generations. Ye do not cause strange perfume to go up upon it, and burnt offering and present and libation ye do not pour out on it. And Aaron hath made atonement on its horns, once in a year, by the blood of the sin offering of atonements. Once in a year doth he make atonement for it to your generations. It is most holy to Jehovah. And Jehovah speaketh unto Moses, saying, When thou takest up the sum of the sons of Israel for their numbers, then they have given each an atonement for his soul to Jehovah in their being numbered. And there is no plague among them in their being numbered. This they do give, every one passing over unto those numbered, half a shekel, by the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs. Half a shekel is the heave offering to Jehovah. Every one passing over unto those numbered, from a son of 20 years and upwards, doth give the heave offering of Jehovah. The rich doth not multiply, and the poor doth not diminish from the half shekel, to give the heave offering of Jehovah, to make atonement for your souls. And thou hast taken the atonement money from the sons of Israel, and hast given it for the service of the tent of meeting. And it hath been to the sons of Israel for a memorial before Jehovah, to make atonement for your souls. And Jehovah speaketh unto Moses, saying, And thou hast made a laver of brass, and its base of brass, for washing. And thou hast put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and hast put water there. And Aaron and his sons have washed at it their hands and their feet. In their going in unto the tent of meeting they wash with water, and die not. Or in their drawing nigh unto the altar to minister, to perform a fire offering to Jehovah, then they have washed their hands and their feet, and they die not. And it hath been to them a statute age-during, to him and to his seed, to their generations. And Jehovah speaketh unto Moses, saying, And thou take to thyself principal spices, wild honey 500 shekels, and spice cinnamon, the half of that, 250, and spice cane 250, and cassia 500 by the shekel of the sanctuary, and olive oil a hin. And thou hast made it a holy anointing oil, a compound mixture, work of a compounder. It is a holy anointing oil. And thou hast anointed with it the tent of meeting, and the ark of the testimony, and the table and all its vessels, and the candlestick and its vessels, and the altar of perfume, and the altar of burnt offering and all its vessels, and the laver and its base. And thou hast sanctified them, and they have been most holy. All that is coming against them is holy. And Aaron and his sons thou dost anoint, and hast sanctified them for being priests to me. And unto the sons of Israel thou dost speak, saying, A holy anointing oil is this to me, to your generations. On flesh of man it is not poured, and with its proper proportion ye make none like it. It is holy to you. A man who compoundeth any like it, or who putteth of it on a stranger, hath even been cut off from his people. And Jehovah saith unto Moses, Take to thee spices, stacte, and onycha, and galbanum, spices and pure frankincense, they are part for part. And thou hast made it a perfume, a compound, work of a compounder, salted, pure, holy. And thou hast beaten some of it small, and hast put of it before the testimony in the tent of meeting, whither I am met with thee. Most holy it is to you. As to the perfume which thou makest with its proper proportion ye do not make to yourselves. Holy it is to thee, to Jehovah. A man who maketh any like it, to be refreshed by it, hath even been cut off from his people. The end of chapters 26 through 30 of the book of Exodus from the Young's Literal Translation. Recording by Mark Penfold.